The love triangle has never been this intense. Episode 11 of The Summer I Turned Pretty throws Belly, Conrad and Jeremiah into a storm of emotions where every glance, every word, and every silence feels like it could change everything. And if you thought the heartbreak intention had peaked in Episode 10, Episode 11 takes it to an entirely new level. Asterisk. Episode 11 begins with the weight of everything that has come before. Belly is at a breaking point, torn between her feelings for Conrad and Jeremiah, but also battling her own confusion about what she truly wants. The writers make it clear from the very first scene that this isn't just about choosing between two brothers, it's about Belly learning who she is when love gets complicated. The opening moment sets a heavy tone. Belly finds herself replaying past conversations in her mind, haunted by promises that Conrad once made and the steady support Jeremiah has always given her. This mental tug-of-war becomes the heartbeat of the episode. We see flashes of her past. Summers, reminders of carefree days, and the unshakable truth that the innocence of childhood is long gone. Now, every relationship comes with consequences. Conrad enters the picture early on, and the tension is immediate. He's clearly wrestling with his emotions. His love for Belly has never really faded, but his fear of hurting her hand, maybe even hurting himself, makes every word he speaks sound like it's hiding something deeper. When Belly and Conrad share their first scene together in this episode, the silence between them is almost louder than their words. She looks at him, waiting for answers, while he stumbles through half-finished sentences. The audience feels his struggle, his longing, and his inability to just say what he feels outright. Then comes Jeremiah, the constant counterbalance to Conrad's uncertainty. Unlike his brother, Jeremiah doesn't hide his emotions. In this episode, he's straightforward, open, and ready to fight for Belly's heart. His presence brings Belly a sense of comfort, but also more confusion. Because while Jeremiah offers stability, his very existence as Conrad's brother makes Belly's choice even more heartbreaking. The writers don't shy away from showing Jeremiah's vulnerability. Either he wants Belly, but he also fears that Conrad will always hold a part of her heart. One of the biggest turning points in the episode happens during a heated conversation where all three of them are caught in the same space. Belly is pulled in opposite directions, Conrad with his quiet longing, and Jeremiah with his direct affection. It's not just dialogue, it's layered with unspoken history, past betrayals, and promises that never fully disappeared. Every line they exchange feels like a step toward either healing or breaking apart forever. What makes this recap even more powerful is how the show blends drama with subtle symbolism. The setting itself, summer winding down, the air heavy with change mirrors what's happening between the characters. The places they stand, the objects they touch, the way they avoid each other's eyes, all become signals of what they're feeling inside. For example, a simple moment at the beach becomes a stage for Belly's inner conflict. As she realizes that the waves pulling in and out mirror her own inability to hold on to just one of the boys without losing the other. Episode 11 doesn't rely on big twists to keep the audience hooked. Instead, it thrives on emotional tension. It's the little things, the way Conrad clenches his jaw, the way Jeremiah's voice breaks when he admits how much he cares, the way Belly wipes away a tear when no one is looking that hit the hardest. These small, carefully written details remind viewers that this isn't just teenage drama. It's about first loves, heartbreaks, and the pain of choosing when every choice feels like losing. By the end of this section of the episode, we've seen Belly struggle with herself more than with the boys. Her confusion is no longer just about who she loves, but about whether she's strong enough to make a choice at all. And that's the brilliance of Episode 11's recap. It doesn't just show events. It forces the audience to feel the same emotional tug-of-war that Belly is living through. Asterisk, if Episode 11 is a storm, then Belly, Conrad, and Jeremiah are the lightning bolts colliding inside it. The love triangle isn't just about romance anymore. It's about trust, fear, and the unspoken wounds that never healed. What makes this episode hit so hard is how each character carries their emotions like armor, but in moments of weakness, that armor cracks. Let's start with Belly. She's no longer the girl simply swept up by the magic of summer. In this episode, she feels the weight of every choice she's made. Her heart pulls her in two directions. Toward Conrad, the boy who has always been her first love, and toward Jeremiah, the boy who has always been her safe place. What's unique here is the way Belly's growth shows through her silence. Instead of constantly trying to please everyone, she begins to recognize that her feelings matter just as much. But even in her strength, she's terrified of choosing wrong, of breaking one heart while keeping another, and of losing the family bond that ties the brothers together. Conrad, on the other hand, is a storm within himself. Episode 11 paints him as the tragic figure, brilliant, passionate, but broken by his inability to communicate what he feels. He wants Belly, but he also believes that wanting her might destroy her. That conflict makes him hesitant, and every pause in his voice feels like a missed chance. What's powerful is how Conrad doesn't need long speeches to express his love. It's in the way he looks at Belly when she's not watching, the way his hands tremble when he almost reaches for her but stops himself. He's the boy who burns for love, but is too afraid of the flames. Jeremiah is the opposite. He is sunlight in the middle of Conrad's storm. Episode 11 shows his determination in full force. Jeremiah doesn't hide behind half-finished sentences, doesn't retreat into himself. Instead, he steps forward, fully present, fully vulnerable. He tells Belly what he feels without shame, and in doing so, he challenges her to stop running from her own truth. But beneath his confidence, there's a fragility too. Jeremiah knows that Conrad will always have a piece of Belly's heart, and that fear lingers in his voice, in the way. He sometimes hesitates before saying the words, "I love you." When the three of them are brought together, the episode becomes less of a love story and more of a battlefield. Belly is caught in the crossfire. Conrad holds his emotions like a weapon he refuses to use. And Jeremiah wears his heart like armor that could shatter at any moment. Their interactions aren't just dialogue, they're layered with history. Every word carries the weight of summers spent together, of laughter that turned into heartbreak, promises made under the stars that were broken in daylight. One of the most unique aspects of episode 11 is how it highlights the contrast between Conrad and Jeremiah through Belly's eyes. Conrad represents passion, predictable, dangerous, but unforgettable. Jeremiah represents stability, steady, reliable, but sometimes overshadowed by the intensity of Conrad's presence. Belly isn't just choosing between two brothers. She's choosing between two versions of herself. With Conrad, she's the girl who dares to risk everything. With Jeremiah, she's the girl who seeks peace after the storm. The family dynamic adds another layer of pain to the story. Both brothers love Belly, but they also love each other. That's what makes the triangle so heartbreaking. Not just about who gets the girl, it's about how their brotherhood will survive the outcome. Every glance they share in this episode feels heavier than before. They both know they're standing on the edge of a cliff that could change their family forever. By the end of this section, the audience doesn't just see three teenagers. In a love triangle, they see a collision of hearts, fears, and unspoken truths. Belly is torn, Conrad is wounded, and Jeremiah is hopeful, yet afraid. Episode 11 captures the rawest version of their dynamic yet. Three people who love deeply, but know that love, no matter how pure, always comes with a price. Asterisk, every great story hides meaning in the quiet spaces. And episode 11 of The Summer I Turned Pretty is no exception. Beneath the drama, beneath the tears and stolen glances, there are themes woven into the fabric of every scene, symbols that echo the characters, hearts louder than words ever could. The first and strongest theme is change. Summer has always represented freedom, youth, and possibility. But episode 11 reminds us that even summer must end. The ocean, once playful and inviting, now feels heavier, darker. The sunsets stretch longer, almost as if the world itself is slowing down to prepare for what's coming next. Just like the season, Belly, Conrad, and Jeremiah can't stay in that bubble of innocence anymore. They're being forced to grow, to decide, to carry the consequences of choices that will shape their futures. Summer is no longer a season, it's a metaphor for growing up. for leaving behind what can't last. Another powerful theme is love versus loyalty. Belly's heart is split between two brothers, but the symbolism runs deeper. With Conrad, love feels like fire, passionate, unpredictable, and capable of burning her if she gets too close. With Jeremiah, love feels like water, gentle, steady, but sometimes lacking the spark that makes fire unforgettable. Belly isn't just torn between two boys, she's torn between two versions of herself. One that wants to dive headfirst into passion no matter the cost, and one that craves stability even if it means sacrificing intensity. The writers use this push and pull to mirror the universal struggle between desire and security. Between what excites us and what sustains us, the symbolism of place in episode 11 is impossible to ignore. Becomes a haven of joy, becomes a mirror of Belly's confusion. Waves crash and retreat like her indecision, always moving, never still. The family house, filled with years of laughter, now feels like a cage where secrets linger in the walls. Even small objects carry weight. Seashell in Belly's hand, a shared blanket, a quiet glance at an old photo each becomes a reminder that love and memory are inseparable. The writers know that sometimes the most powerful emotions are not spoken, but shown in the things we hold, the places we stand, and the memories we can't let go of. The episode also leans into the theme of silence. All silence in this story isn't empty, it's loaded. When Conrad hesitates, when Jeremiah lowers his gaze, when Belly chooses not to answer right away, silence becomes its own language. It says what the characters are too afraid to admit. It's the pause before a confession, the wait before a heartbreak. Episode 11 teaches us that silence can be just as dramatic as shouting, sometimes even more devastating. There's also the theme of family, not just romantic love, but the bond between brothers. The heartbreak here is bigger than Belly's choice. No matter what she decides, someone loses more than love. A brother loses trust. A family loses balance. The unspoken fear throughout episode 11 is not just who will Belly choose, but will Conrad and Jeremiah survive this choice as brothers? That underlying question gives the episode its depth, reminding us that love stories aren't just about couples, they ripple outward, touching everyone connected. Finally, episode 11 carries the theme of growing pains. The story doesn't romanticize love as simple or easy. Instead, it shows love as messy, confusing, and sometimes unfair. Belly is realizing that choices can hurt people she cares about. Conrad is realizing that protecting someone doesn't mean pushing them away. Jeremiah is realizing that confidence doesn't erase doubt. All three are forced to face truths that feel bigger than themselves. The symbolism of growing up is everywhere. Summer fading into fall, childish dreams fading into adult decisions. Love fading into something that can either break them or make them stronger. By the time the credits roll, the audience doesn't just see three teenagers in a love triangle, they see a story about endings and beginnings. Episode 11 uses waves, silence, summer air, and broken promises to remind us that love is never just about who ends up with whom. It's about what love teaches us, what it costs us, and how it changes us forever. Asterisk, the ending of episode 11 doesn't arrive with fireworks. It arrives like a wave at midnight, quiet at first, then crashing hard, leaving everything scattered on the shore. If the earlier parts of the episode were about confusion and choice, the ending is about consequence. Every character is forced to confront truths they've been avoiding, and the silence that follows is louder than any declaration of love. The final scenes bring Belly, Conrad, and Jeremiah to an emotional crossroads. Belly stands in the center, not physically perhaps, but emotionally caught between the storm of Conrad's longing and the steady warmth of Jeremiah's devotion. It's not a clean ending. It's not meant to be. Instead, the writers craft a conclusion that feels unfinished on purpose, as though they are daring the audience to sit in the discomfort with. Belly. One of the most unforgettable moments comes when Conrad finally lets a sliver of honesty slip through. After a season of hesitation and half-truths, his voice trembles as he admits feelings that have been buried under layers of fear. It isn't a perfect confession. It isn't even complete. but it's raw enough to make Belly freeze because, for all his silence, Conrad still knows how to break her heart with a single look, a single word. The camera lingers on him, not to glorify his pain, but to show the audience that Conrad is at war with himself. He wants to fight for Belly, but he doesn't know how to win without destroying his brother. Then Jeremiah steps in, and the contrast couldn't be sharper. Where Conrad stumbles, Jeremiah stands firm. His voice doesn't shake. His words don't hide. He tells Belly that she deserves someone who chooses her fully, without fear, without hesitation. It's the kind of confession that feels safe, secure, yet it also carries the quiet ache of someone who knows love isn't always enough. Jeremiah's confidence is real, but so is his fear. Because even as he speaks, he can see in Belly's eyes that Conrad's shadow is still there, lingering like a ghost she can't let go of. The cliffhanger doesn't rely on action, it relies on tension. Belly doesn't make a choice in this moment. She doesn't run into anyone's arms. Instead, she stands still, her face a mixture of longing, fear, and heartbreak. The brilliance of this ending is that it doesn't give the audience closure, it gives them a mirror. We're left staring at Belly's indecision, forced to feel what she feels, that choosing one means losing another, and maybe losing herself. In the process, symbolically, the episode ends with a quiet visual cue. Belly steps outside into the night, the summer air heavy around her. The camera follows the way she looks at the horizon, as though searching for an answer she knows won't come tonight. The ocean is there again, restless and unending, reminding us that love is as vast and uncontrollable as the tide. Powerful metaphor. No matter how hard you try to hold on, the waves always pull something away. This final moment is what makes episode 11 so unforgettable. It doesn't tie things up, it unravels them. It leaves Conrad broken but still burning, Jeremiah hopeful but afraid, and Belly suspended in the impossible space between them. The cliffhanger is not about what happens next, it's about what doesn't happen. The choice unmade, the silence unbroken, the love unfinished. As the credits roll, viewers are left with a knot in their stomach. Will Belly choose passion or peace? Will Conrad finally step out of his own shadow? Will Jeremiah's steady love be enough to win her heart? The ending doesn't answer these questions, it hands them to the audience, daring us to wrestle with them until the next episode. And that is the genius of episode 11. The writers know that sometimes the most powerful way to end a story is not with resolution, but with uncertainty, because uncertainty lingers, keeps us awake at night, keeps us hitting next episode even when it hurts. Episode 11 doesn't end. Echoes. It stays with you like a song you can't turn off, like a memory you can't shake, like a choice you're too afraid to make.